After their recent success in Azerbaijan, Ferrari is looking stronger for the upcoming GP in Miami, one in which the team will start a new, revolutionary era. It seems like the Maranello squad finally understood what needed to be changed and tweaked in and out of the car, as well as in the technical staff, meaning that we have a very different beast coming out of Maranello very soon. Will Ferrari be able to finally beat Red Bull in a fair and square battle and present a bigger challenge for the championship? According to recent developments, this is a very likely scenario from Miami's upgrades. Ever since the season started, Ferrari has found themselves in a very hairy position. The reliability issues with Leclerc appeared from day one, and Sainz's competitiveness was nowhere near where Ferrari would want it to be. While everyone was focused on Mercedes' dip in form, Ferrari's performance has been more or less expected by the Formula One world, given the fact that they've now been messing up their own races constantly for quite some time now. However, with new leadership in Frederic Vasseur and tectonic shakeups with the emerging arrival of Enrico Balbo, the head of aerodynamics at Red Bull, Ferrari is preparing something new from now on. The Baku GP has shown that even though the Maranello team has its own struggles, it's still the number 2 team behind Red Bull in terms of pure race pace, and even better than that when it comes to one-lap performance, as Leclerc was able to grab his 3rd consecutive pole position in Baku. While this is a good foundation to start from, it's not by far enough to challenge the mighty beast that Red Bull produced for the 2023 season. We've seen Verstappen pass Leclerc with open DRS with a difference of 30 kilometers an hour, so it's really difficult to fight with that, no matter which team you're on. Miami is a race that will include 2 long straights from Red Bull that could prioritise in their own favour, so Ferrari's performance will be under a huge question mark yet again. This is why Vasseur has marked this particular GP as the race in which Ferrari's new era will begin, not just with the technical staff, something we'll get to later in this video, but also with the upgrades to the car. Throughout the short course of the 2023 season, we've been hearing statements from Sainz that the aerodynamic concept of Ferrari needs to change, and this has been swiftly denied by Vasseur, who said that he believes the team is on the right track and the progress they've been making is very solid. After the first podium of the season in Baku, Ferrari will look to continue the strong form in Miami as well, and while they're very aware that the deficit they have to Red Bull is not one they can just turn overnight, they do know that there's a lot more to come out of the SF23, and this week we'll see the first boost of Maranello's car. Keep in mind that without any significant upgrades in Baku, Ferrari was able to beat the W14 with a new rear suspension and hold off the attacks of Alonso and Leclerc, even though Sainz has proven yet again why he isn't the number 1 driver in Ferrari for a reason. When talking about the next GP, Vasseur said, "We will start to bring upgrades on the car from Miami and for the next couple of events, and we'll see how the car will react to the upgrades. The update is one thing, but the fact that you're able to extract all of the potential out of the update is another one." One area in which not only Ferrari but every other team on the grid lacks severely compared to Red Bull is straight line speed, especially the one with an open DRS. This is why Vasseur believes his team has a lot of work to do in this particular area, as they're yet to understand whether Ferrari's deficit is purely mechanical or if there's an aerodynamic component to it, something that Sainz has spoken about more frequently during the recent period. Furthermore, the consistency of the car is something that the team is working on, as Vasseur continued. "I think so far what is obvious is that we are struggling with consistency. It's true this weekend, all over the lap, all over the corners and all over the race. But I think the car was much more consistent this weekend and we're going in the right direction." Clearly, one of the strengths of the Red Bull today is the DRS effect. We need to understand what they're doing, and I think we're onto it. We compensated part of the gap compared to last year because it was already the case last year, but we still have mega room for improvement. It's evident that Ferrari is now riding on the positivity that Baku brought, and after such a disastrous start to the first 3 races, which was basically the worst start of the team's season ever since the points were remodelled in 2010, the Azerbaijan GP has lifted the hopes of the team that they can be more consistent in the upcoming period. Claiming a pole position in Baku was definitely what Leclerc needed, and now that the Monegasque has focused on working out the collaboration with Ferrari and not running to Mercedes, it will help boost the team's morale and find the perfect working environment for both of its drivers. But in order to do so, you need much more than devoted drivers, and this is where the technical staff comes in. Now that Laurent Mekies will depart Ferrari at the end of the year to lead AlphaTauri as a team principal, Ferrari has done some work towards bringing experienced and high-profile staff from other teams, such as Red Bull. The head of aerodynamics, Enrico Balbo, is expected to be announced during the Miami GP weekend as a new member of Ferrari. And if you think that isn't a huge addition for Ferrari, just look at what Fallows, the previous owner of this role, is currently doing as a technical director at Aston Martin. This edition has a different point of view and a different magnitude that I want to share with you. Now that Red Bull is practically the only team that has a trouble-free car, one that hasn't porpoised in 2 years and has a 30km/h advantage with an open DRS, every member of their staff is considered a high-profile one. While Balbo couldn't go any higher than the head of aerodynamics at Red Bull, the expertise he's earned there will definitely help Ferrari move in the right direction. Just as Fallows has helped Aston Martin build a car that was more or less the same as the RB18, Red Bull's 2022 Challenger. The Austrian team acknowledges this, and they know that in order for them to be competitive, they need to keep their staff under their command. But under Wash and Newey, there's only so much space to improve, and in Formula One, the sky's the limit. You don't know your true power until you're given a higher responsibility role, something that Balbo will be able to share with Ferrari this year. Prior to Red Bull, a team he's been a part of since 2018 and has become the head of aerodynamics from 2021 onwards, he worked at Mercedes from 2014 to 2017, so to say he's a valued piece of the entire puzzle is a massive understatement. Balbo will give Ferrari what they desperately need right now, a new boost in the 2023 season, one that comes so early in the season they might just turn it away. One DNF is all it takes to make things more interesting, and although Red Bull seems to be the only team that can beat itself right now, Ferrari will be asked in the remainder of the season about this question. Also, the fact that they're hiring a chief of aerodynamics in their team can only mean one thing. They're here to fix some stuff in the aerodynamics of the car, even though Vasseur was a firm believer there was nothing wrong with it. Apart from Balbo, Ferrari will likely hire a handful of engineers up until the beginning of June, with some starting to work from Miami onward. Just as Fallows was able to gather around 30 engineers and bring them under his command in Aston Martin, the same could be said for Balbo, who, although yet to be proven as efficient as Fallows, will definitely have a severe impact on Red Bull's pyramid scheme. All in all, it's going to be a very interesting race, and it seems like Ferrari are here to finally be competitive, something that could be a promise turned into truth for the first time after a long period of waiting. What do you think about the upgrades Ferrari is bringing to Miami? Do you think that the technical staff, combined with the new components on the car, will be enough to challenge Red Bull after a decent Baku weekend? Let us know in the comments below.